the decal layer. So on the cars, we have this area right here, as you can see where the Monster logo is, that we're actually now taking out of the system. So it won't be a car underscore decal underscore file anymore. We're actually now going to be building those into the car templates themselves. So what that means is it's less management of two files, and it actually allows a little bit more freedom and flexibility of what you're actually going to be able to do in Sim. So I'm going to walk you through here a little bit. So when you first download the template, it looks a little something like this, right? Now see is in the blue. So the car decal now is a part of the template. And what's going to be great about this is the freedom for hosted sessions and leagues to do their own designs and it not really kind of mess with anything else. It's going to be really cool. So, you know, what we're going to do is basically we're going to jump here to, you know, forward progress of painting a car essentially. So we're going to jump ahead to a design that I've come up with, and so this is what my car looks like. And what we normally do doesn't change, so we're going to go ahead and save it. And you're just going to put it in, of course, your documents, iRacing paint. You go under the car, and you label it the same way. So that's your car paint file, right? We're all used to that. Save it as a 24-bit, and guys, make sure you compress it going forward, okay? It's kind of important in a way because people, when they're downloading from Trading Paints, don't always want to have these large files. So please start compressing these. So you compress it, then we're going to go back to the sim. And what you're going to see is the 007 is going to stay put, but the rest of the car is going to change. So there. So what we just saw in Photoshop, as I pull up the side-by-side here, is now what you see in Sim. So the 007 right now is a normal official race and test session that all of us normally run. And these are what we call the iRacing stamp numbers. What's cool now, as I mentioned, is if I go back to the template, as you can see on the left side of your screen here, I'm going to turn off the car decal layer. Okay, and you can see all these things that actually disappear. So I'm going to save it again. And now when I go back to the sim, watch this little area here by the Monster logo. In fact, I'll bring this up full screen for you guys so you can see this. I'm going to hit refresh. And voila, it's gone. Decal layers on this car do not exist anymore. So anything that was formerly considered a decal layer on the sim is now going to be easily replaceable. It doesn't require having to save alpha layers as a 32-bit as we previously had to do. It doesn't require you guys to have to custom line them up like they're there, and you can just line them up. So this is going to be really cool. So once again, what I'll do here is I'll go back to Photoshop as what I'm using. Now this will be able to do in GIMP as well. I'm going to turn the layer back on. I'm going to save it one more time. We're going to pull up the sim full screen again, and we're going to see that the Monster logo is going to appear now, which is the whole contingencies and decal layers. And boom, it's now baked into the paint file. So for private leagues, this is going to be amazing because it doesn't require them to have to save all these alpha layers and have to worry about setting up alpha layers. And for those of us who aren't as skilled as painting, this will now allow us to move forward and become even better painters, not having to worry about all these extra alpha layers and these extra naming systems and all that. So this is now just all car underscore, and it's really, really cool. And I'm really glad to have been a part of this project on the inside of iRacing to help bring this to everybody. So so that's something that's changed, okay? the biggest development that we made recently is the ability to do custom number fonts and numbers. So you can now basically paint your favorite number onto your car, right? Well, recently that's been introduced for the Peak series. I'm happy to tell you that not only will that be coming to hosted for everybody, but it will be so simple that all you have to do is add it to your paint. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a whole new file. And it's going to be called car underscore N as in no, U as in you and me, and M as in my favorite day. So it's going to now be called car underscore num underscore your ID number. And what that does is it saves your custom font and number. So why don't we pull back up Photoshop here. And I happen to already have mine done and placed because I like a different color on the roof number. And I know for oval people, especially, this is a big deal that you see in NASCAR where teams and drivers will run different numbers on their cars. And so what we're going to do now, as I said, is we're going to create a second file in the paint folder called car underscore num underscore your ID number. Okay. We're going to go back to the sim. Okay, and I'm going to refresh. Oh no, it didn't show up. So, because this is technically considered an iRacing official session or a test session, what shows up by default is, as you can see, is the 007. We are now including the ability in your graphics options to show custom cars. So what that means is I'm going to be able to go here in a minute to my graphics options, tick a checkbox, and you're going to see those custom numbers that we just saw in Photoshop come onto the car. And the reason we wanted to do this was some people, they want to run the customs. That's all they want to see.
That's definitely impressive from Drew Amundsen, but we're going to get going here in a few moments. If you want to keep looking at that, well, you saw the Twitch up there as twitch.tv/Beast Racing. Also, let me know if I missed anything else, but we are here at Talladega Super Speedway for the first playoff race here of the season. We're going to figure out who's going to survive and who will not. 2 rounds here in playoff round number 1. This is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. So we thank you for joining, and I would be listening to that in the background, but unfortunately I cannot have to focus on this as well. So if anything else does come of it, I may update at the end of this, but we're here at Talladega Superspeedway for 65 laps here in the trucks, and starting on the front row is going to be the 51 of DJ Anderson. Starting in second place, it will be Tim Blum in the number 10. And just now realized that the graphic is still up unintentionally, but I'm going to make a quick fix to the camera really quickly. But other than that, third place is going to be the 88 of Sean Butler. Brendan Minto, the number 20, starts in the 4th place position. Rounding out the top 5 is going to be Richard Murdoch in the 01. Starting off in the 6th place position is going to be William Long. 7th place holds... Oh, that's the wrong button. 7th place holds James Skelton in the number 86. Kevin O'Brien starts in 8th. 9th place holds the 42 of Max Terrio, and rounding out the top 10 is the 981 of Patrick Orr. Starting in 11th is going to be the 7 of Leah Bordage. Ryan O'Donnell in the 12, and the 98, I should say, starts in the 12th place position. Starting 13th is going to be Joshua Buckley. Christopher Rothrock starts 14th. 15th, not taking a lap time or qualifying time, is going to be James Heater. Kyle Souza rounds out the top 16. And running out the 17 car field here for this week is going to be Brian Phillips in the 39. So it's going to be interesting to see what DJ Anderson can do. Again, 65 laps here at Talladega Superspeedway. I'm actually still quite interested in those paint schemes, so I may actually tune back into that. It will not be shown alongside the race, although it's very tempting to do. But I will be listening in on that as well, so I'll update anybody on that if they are interested. At the moment, he's on lighting. So it sounds like another update to the paint scheme is that it's going to be matte and chrome paint schemes that will be possible. That's actually going to be pretty interesting. Well, focusing back on this race is going to be the pace car pulling off the racetrack, as full focus is now going to be on this playoff race. 12 drivers are in line to possibly advance to the next round, but 10 of which for sure. 12, the last 2 drivers are going to be in a little bit of trouble. They are outlined in green, and that's all those drivers as well for this race. So the green flag flies. We are underway, and we'll see who the last 2 playoff drivers are. At the moment, looks to be Bordage and Oldania as they go side by side off into turn number 1. It may be actually Bordage and Oldani who are in line to be eliminated. No, it's Oldani and Souza who are in line to be eliminated. Not this race, however. They do have 2 chances. So they head down the back straightaway for the first of 65 laps. DJ Anderson being very successful so far just off of the first run. And something from the past build that's actually quite interesting is that the drafting rate for these trucks have been completely changed for the most part. So the drafting rate, if you're behind another driver, take, I believe that's the, take Kevin O'Brien for instance, as we ride on board. Oh, there we go. Take Kevin O'Brien, for instance. He's a little bit behind the 12 of William Long. That drafting rate right here, you can see it's been improved just a little bit. So now the drafting suck-up rate is absolutely insane. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how that plays into effect for this race. The 86 of Skeleton laying back just ever so slightly as we are 3 wide. Kevin O'Brien taking the very top side to back off here. Meanwhile, up front, still DJ Anderson and Sean Butler positions 1 and 2. Third in line on the inside is going to be Richard Murdoch in the number 01. Side by side, they remain down the back straightaway, and you could be seeing some similarities if you were here last night for the flat-out racing league, and their broadcast at Daytona and the Cup cars, they're pretty much side by side relatively for most of the race, and this is how it looked. This is usually how it looked. It was at Daytona, however. But other than that, this is pretty similar to how it looked, although there was lead changes left and right. So far, everyone's taking it a little bit more carefully as someone, I believe that's Brian Phillips, that's off the racetrack in the back. Not sure what happened to him. Somebody's having some massive connection issues. That is the 2 of Joshua Buckley. His connection dropping out left and right. Oh, that's Sean Butler dropping to the inside. That's not going to work out for somebody. And to the inside, I think that was Bordage in the 7. It was the 3rd red truck in line, and it was. Bordage had to dive to the inside to avoid all that mayhem. So now it's going to be Brendan Minto that's pushing the 10 in the lead. Actually, just realized that the 51 has lost the lead. So yeah, Tim Blum taking control in the outside lane as the 20 had followed him through. Little bit sideways, it seems. Not literally sideways, but a little bit weaving between the lane is going to be the 98 of Voldani. Trying to stay behind that number 12 of William Long as much as possible. There's the 20 of Minto being pushed by the 12 of Long, and Long is all over the back bumper. It is pretty difficult to hold the lane when you're directly behind somebody, while the roof cameras may not show that since they are elevated. The gyro cams might just have a little bit of a little more to show, and we will ride on board with the 51 of DJ Anderson. Well, maybe not actually, as to the outside comes the 20 and the 12. They are quite literally bumper to bumper there. You can see the 12 of William Long trying to do it. Look at that, Aldani helping out as well. Oh, that was a bit sketchy there with the 98. Almost got the point of the nose accidentally hooked onto the quarter panel there. So that definitely would not have ended well. Well, right on board somebody's gyro cam here in a second. At the line, it was Brendan Minto taking the lead. By how much, you may be wondering? Well, let's pull up the results graphic. Actually, it's not by much. It's not by much that I thought it would be, but 0.022 seconds. I believe the closest at the line last night at Daytona was about a thousandth of a second, 3,000ths of a second, I believe. No one has gone in triple-digit zeros for the time being, I will say that. Now, this is relatively how much the driver in front sees. Actual, hold on. There we go. So riding on board Richard Murdoch now. You can see that he can only see the driver in front. And you can hear that he's lifting off. You can only see the driver in front of him and sort of through the windshield. That driver in front is Sean Butler. The driver in front of Sean Butler, I believe, is DJ Anderson. You can hear how much Murdoch again is still lifting. He's not using the brake, which is a smart move, and oh yeah, that's definitely a smart move, especially in the case of Sean Butler, whose internet is trying to hang on. So it's Butler and Buck Lee who are not having. Butler and Buckley that are having a few problems with their connections on their sides. It seems to have smoothed out for now from that number 2. And we were nearly 3 wide, it seems, there, but at the moment we remain 2 wide double file. One driver has dropped fully off of the pace, and that is Kevin O'Brien. So the 184 not on a good start to this race, but hopefully he can recover. Meanwhile, the rest of the field, well, the gap to the leader from Patrick Orr, who at the moment is the last driver in this pack. The gap to the leader is about 0.7 seconds. 0.8 seconds, actually. We'll roll with 0.8 seconds. So the entire field is within 1 second of each other, and they're still remaining side by side. If you want a little bit of input here on this race, well, just mention who you ride through, mention over in the chat who you want to ride on board with, and we will do so, as William Long was still all over the back bumper of that number 20 of Minto. I would consider doing an in-race interview, and by in-race I mean mid-race, but that's a little bit of a mistake since these drivers need to concentrate just a little bit. So if there is a caution, we may do a in-race interview as well, under caution. So go ahead and suggest who you want for that as well. Depends whether or not they are available. Open to suggestions for sure, as the 10 and the 20 still remain side by side. At the line, it's going to be Tim Blum by about half a hood. Next week, we head to the short oval of Richmond Raceway over in Virginia, and we'll be taking I don't believe we'll be taking a week off. Actually, yes, we will. No, we will not. Never mind. I was looking at the schedule incorrectly. These guys are going to be side by side for quite a while, so we're going to go through the rest of your playoff rounds here. So top 12 drivers at the moment, well, the last two, Kyle Souza and Kevin O'Brien, they are in line to be eliminated after Richmond. So keep an eye on those two drivers that are the last two drivers with their names labeled in green. Oh, Anderson, watch out. There's a lane of cars above you. But there is this race here at Talladega. Then next week, rounding out round one, which are the top 12 drivers. And then it goes to the top 10 drivers at Las Vegas and Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Round 3 holds the top 8 drivers at Bristol and Chicagoland. And then the Championship 4 concludes at Atlanta just at the end of April. So these drivers side by side, never mind Minto, it's finally the one driver in the lead. And William Long goes around turn 2. This is going to be the big one here in turn number 2 at Talladega. That is pretty much everybody here in the back portion of the field. Terrio is involved. This 86 of Skelton is involved. Ryan Donnie is involved. The 39, pretty much the entire back half of the field once again, just as the cloud cover hits, ironically enough. Caution is out, and that just took out a huge majority of the championship drivers, some of which have already taken it to pit road. They are done for this race, so this is going to help out. I think the only person this could be helping out is Kevin O'Brien. But we'll be taking an onboard, or not even an onboard look, but we'll be taking a replay look here. Look at the replay. Can't even say words correctly. I'm kind of caught off guard about that. I didn't think that was going to happen so soon. I thought the 12 was just going to fall back, but here is the replay. Look at the 98 of Oldani. Moves to the middle. Oh man, that flips the 51 around your pole sitter, and then everyone else is just involved. Look at that, is the 4 of Souza, so he wasn't involved. I thought he was. Brian Phillips may have avoided that, but for sure Terrio did not. Neither did the 984 of Christopher Rothrock. Ryan Donnie again involved. Buckley was involved. Skelton, Murdoch. Just a huge majority of the field. We'll take a look at the car count of the drivers that were involved here in a few moments. I'm going to be doing this out loud. So there's 3, oh goodness, 4, 5 instantly. 6, I believe 6. Now the 7 just barely lucked out. So the 7 of Leo Bordage lucked out. So did the 88. He got a piece of damage, though. He did get a little bit of damage. The L1 got a piece of it. So we have 1, 2. Just from, actually, no, we'll head live here. And just from this shot alone, we will see who was pretty much involved in this. Drawing software is going to come up on the main screen, unfortunately. As your top 9 drivers are in pit road, we will give the exiting order of that. Apologies for this once again appearing on the screen. Not sure how to stop that from happening, but so far as that happens, we have 1 driver, we have 2, we'll just cross a line through them. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 drivers just from this one camera shot alone. Man, that is a huge majority of your field, unfortunately, most of which are still staying in pit road. As far as pit road goes, speaking of which, your top 3 exiting pit road, Brendan Minto, Tim Blum, Patrick Orr, all have your standard 15 or so second pit stops. Looking for anyone else that has that. It does not appear so. Maybe Kevin O'Brien. But that will be going back live here. So as we look at Kevin O'Brien, yeah, his pit stop was also the standard 15 or so seconds. Leo Bordage stayed on pit road for a little bit longer than usual. I'm not seeing any damage. That's the same with Kyle Souza. Again, not seeing any visible damage on his car. So he may have lucked out. We're going to take a little bit of a replay here. Not a break, but a replay just to see how he fared through that accident. It's going to take a little bit of time to rewind, unfortunately. So we will get this replay up, and we do have it set up for you right now. So here's the replay on board Kyle Souza. That's a very smart move for him to. He was actually pretty lucky there that he was all the way in the back. You can see how careful he's being. So he's no longer in the final 2 drivers of at risk of elimination. But we're not going to mention that to him. He probably knows that, but we're not going to mention that to him yet. We probably will not mention him that whatsoever. But interesting fact, Patrick Orr is currently the highest running rookie here on this racetrack. That should not be green. Are the lights out this time around? They are. So looks like it is going to be your top 5. Oh my goodness, this is the rest of your field essentially. That's how many drivers were taken out. It was unfortunately so much of the majority of the field that the rest of these drivers are... There's only 6 drivers here. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just, wow, that is heartbreaking for some of those drivers. I'm not sure. There are a few drivers that are still essentially on the racetrack. They are damaged, but they are on the racetrack in a sense. And so I guess your top 6 is going to be Brendan Minto, Tim Blum, Patrick Orr, Kevin O'Brien, Joshua Buckley, I believe, restarts in 5th. James Skelton, I think, is going to be restarting in 6th. And then we have Kyle Souza, Leo Bordage, Brian Phillips, Max Terrio, and Sean Butler Murdoch. They're both catching up. I'm not sure if it's going to be... I don't think there's enough drivers to really call it at halfway, to like finish the race at halfway. So there are enough drivers who looks like run the event to completion. So I was about to say, if it was just those 6 drivers, that is, either way, it's still heartbreaking. Some drivers are still sitting in pit road. DJ Anderson, for one, who was upside down in turn number 2. Ryan O'Donnell has 3 minutes, 40 seconds of damage. James Heater with almost 6 minutes of damage, and it shows. James Skellen, 1 minute, 6 seconds of damage. I mean, at this point, the drivers that don't have over the regular pit stop time The drivers that do have regular pit stop times are shorter are Brendan Minto, Tim Blum, Patrick or Kevin O'Brien, Kyle Souza, Leo Bordage, Brian Phillips, and Max Terrio. The rest of your field are either, they're just out with long pit stop times. The only driver that's officially out of this race is William Long. So this throws a huge Talladega, as mentioned by everybody, it's a crapshoot. But we're going to figure out what's going to happen here as the green flag is out. 12 drivers on the lead lap, at least those that are on the racetrack as of right now in this pack. The rest of everyone else, well, Richard Murdoch is actually one of those 12 drivers. Rothrock's still sitting in pit road, so we're back underway here. They may, for once in this series, or this series, they may have somebody besides Max Terrio, who won 2 races, and Sean Butler, who won 6 races. We may have someone besides those two actually win a race here, although Terrio is still running, but he does have some damage. Same with Sean Butler, who's directly behind him, ironically enough. With 981, Patrick Orr is going to be pushing the 20 to the lead, or at least keeping him in the lead for the time being. Kevin O'Brien, now I remember how he fell back, and that's from what he's doing right now, taking the very top side and falling to the back of the pack. He must have fallen back so far to the back of the field that he lost the draft, so hopefully he will not have that happen to him again. He may be very glad that he actually dropped back from the field as well. So we'll see how this race plays out, but your top 3 are Minto, Orr, and Buckley. Skelton, Blum, and O'Brien are Kyle Souza as well. Your top 4. 5 is Leo Bordage, and that is in points. Terrio, Butler, and Murdoch are 8. Ryan O'Donnell, DJ Anderson, I believe 9 and 10. DJ Anderson and William Long, actually, they're both out of this race for good. I may be incorrect on that, but at the moment they're both out of this race for good. DJ Anderson and William Long are in line to be, or at risk, I should say, of being eliminated come Richmond, or after Richmond. Well, side by side for the lead once again. Kyle Souza going to take a shot at the lead with Tim Blum. Nearly going sideways there for a few moments. So at the moment, Kyle Souza going to be in the lead at the start-finish line, and he will. Tim Blum, second place. And they will drop down to the inside lane. Kyle Souza will not drop down, however. Therefore, he's going to fall all the way back to the number 7 machine of Leo Bordage, who is on the top side. A little bit of damage, though, on the left front that you can see here from this camera angle. A little bit of a crumple there. That is a very large circle, unfortunately. You can see the crumple that he has. That's going to be hurting his aerodynamics just a little bit, but not a major amount, probably about 1 or 2 miles an hour. Same with Terrio, who also has a little bit of damage that you can see on the quarter panel here, if he can hold still, hopefully. You can see how bent it is. That's not really the best thing that you want to have here at Super Speedway. Although, listening to the drivers last night from the Flat Out Racing League, or at least after the race, they did say that even with a little bit of damage, they could still keep up with the field. Only about, for about 5 mile an hour difference. So that is what some of these drivers could be working with, and then draft is helping keep them in this pack. Going to be going side by side here between Brian Phillips and the 42 almost, as Kyle Souza will be taking another shot at the top side. At this point, though, it may not be worth it. Yeah, they're going to go back down to the inside. So, Sean Butler getting pushed by Kevin O'Brien. and that means O'Brien is a little bit at risk of falling back once again. Same with the 88 of Sean Butler. DJ Anderson has finally left pit road, however, so that means it could be just William Long. Oh no, Ryan O'Donnell. Well, we'll take a look at a speed comparison here. 186 miles an hour, 87, 88 on the back straightaway. As compared to Ryan O'Donnell, just in general, he is 30 miles an hour slower, unfortunately. He may not be able to make it. He may get passed by Anderson, who's at about the same speed, however. So both of those drivers heavily damaged, but that's what they'll do to stay in this race. So now it's going to be between O'Donnell and Anderson for the 11th place position in the point standings, which in this case is just on-track positioning. So if Anderson finishes in front of O'Donnell, then that means that O'Donnell and William Long are both at risk of elimination after Richmond. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's what it's going to take at this point. Side by side for Minto, but Patrick Orr is going to be going with the 10 of Tim Blum instead. So it's going to be a 3-car train up on the top side. And that top side is the 20 of Brendan Minto, the 39 of Brian Phillips, and the 7 of Leo Bordage. Inside holds the 10 of Tim Blum, the 981 of Patrick Orr, the 2 of Joshua Buckley, James Skelton in the 86, and just behind James Skelton, not in this shot. Oh, no. Oh, Skelton could get involved. Caution for sure is going to come out after this one. It has to be race control thrown by the admins. But Brendan Minto, James Skelton, and Patrick Orr all involved. I don't think they'll be thrown the yellow. iRacing sure will not be thrown the yellow. I'm sure it was so unexpected to the point that even race control just had no time to react. But we'll take a look at this replay here. Not sure what had happened here. Slow motion. There's a 39. And coming down into turn number 3, was the angle right there. That angle and the speed just sends the 20 and the 981 just all out of sorts. And the 86, it was off screen for the viewers. A little bit of 120 extra pixel spaces here over on the monitors on this side. But the 42 of Terrio had accidentally bumped the 86 of Skelton out of the way as well to avoid that. The 86 just checked up without, oh man, just no reaction time whatsoever. I'm still not sure why iRacing didn't throw the caution. But now it's going to be Brian Phillips who is in the lead. Tim Blum has fallen back to 3rd. Well, remember what I said about Talladega being a crapshoot? They were not wrong whatsoever. I feel for these guys, though. I really do. So much bad luck. So it's DJ Anderson and James Heater still. Or sorry, DJ Anderson and William Long there are the bottom 2 in the point standings and on-track position. Labeled in green. It will be labeled in red next week. The last 2 drivers in the point standings will be labeled in red as... That's the 86, I believe, that went around. No, that's the 184 of Kevin O'Brien, who got turned around in turn number 4 off the corner. I saw that just at the edge of the screen. Not sure what happened to him, but we'll ride on board and figure out what happens. Take an exterior look, chopper camera. Did he just break? I think he just broke loose. We'll take another look. I'm not sure if he just broke loose. 184. Middle of your screen. Oh man, that had to be serious net code there. Oh man, I'm still surprised that the race control still hasn't thrown the caution, but Talladega is a crapshoot for sure here. And it's not how most of these drivers would want this to go, I'm sure. Brian Phillips on the inside, top side on his lonesome, is that number 10 of Tim Blum. With 38 laps to go in this 65-lap race, we are nearing the halfway point. Just so much heartbreak for pretty much everybody here. You're closing in on the halfway point, which is essentially lap 33. Well, technically 32 and a half, it will be lap 33, and we'll go over the rest of, we'll go over the field and their positions on the racetrack. So that means with 32 laps to go, I am way off on that one. About 34 laps to go, 33 or so. It'll take a halfway break, but look at this, Joshua Buckley now up to the second place position in that number 2. It's still the usual win in your in format, although that now only applies to the drivers whose names in the ticker are highlighted in green. Brian Phillips to the top side. He's going to try and find some way around as much as possible, but it's not going to work. Brian Phillips is the only driver, actually, that is within this top 6, top 7, I believe, that is not in the playoffs. So right now it's going to be Tim Blum, Joshua Buckley, Leah Bordage, Sean Butler, Kyle Souza, your top 5. Max Terrio and Brian Phillips running out your top 7. Here's Brendan Minto and James Skelton over in 8th and 9th. 10th place, here's Kevin O'Brien. So a massive amount of heartbreak for just everyone here. Whoever wins this race, I'm pretty sure they would not want to win it like this. So it's going to be a single file off of turn 4. It's Joshua Buckley, Leah Bordage, Sean Butler, your race winner of 6 weeks in a row. Max Terrio, your winner of last week in the first race of the season. Everyone else within this top 7 has not won a single race for this season. Pretty much everyone else in the entire field here tonight. Max Terrio and Sean Butler both have the same amount of wins combined. And that's just so far this season. Or sorry, the most amount of wins combined. I'm not sure if I said the same. I apologize if I did, however. That's the most amount of wins combined this season. It's not exactly saying a lot for Max Terrio, unfortunately. He's only on 2 races, as Sean Butler has been on a tear the past few weeks. Only last week was it broken by Max Terrio, and Tim Blum has come close so many times. And while taking a look at the results, for sure at Lime Rock Park, Tim Blum had finished second to Sean Butler. As well as, I believe that was it actually. Yeah, I believe that's the only time that Tim Blum has finished second to Sean Butler. Gonna be taking another look just to make sure through the stats. No, twice he finished second to Sean Butler, actually. That is Tim Blum's stats. So he's been runner-up twice in this season. This could be the race where he breaks that. We're gonna have to find out in the following 33 laps. But for the time being, we're going to go through the majority of your field, as we're technically halfway at this point, nearing 20 laps to go, or 30 laps to go, sorry. We have Tim Blum in first as he started second, so the last time he finished, well, within the top two, he started first and finished in second. Hopefully he will be able to change that. Joshua Buckley is 13th, or he started 13th. He's currently in second from the big one. Leo Bordage started 11th. He's currently third. Sean Butler started third, sorry. He's currently in fourth. Max Terrio started fifth. Goodness. Max Terrio started ninth. He's currently in fifth. I'm getting mixed up by the graphic design somehow. Brian Phillips from dead last up to sixth. He is on the roll so far. Kyle Souza second to last. He is in seventh. Brendan Minto is in pit road along with James Skelton. They are 8th and 9th respectively. Kevin O'Brien is one lap down in 10th. So that is pretty much it for your top 10 rundown. We're going to be going double wide here so you won't miss a single thing. This is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network here with the Red Light Scrambler series at Talladega, and we're going to hold off on that actually because the entire top, well, 7 in this case, are coming down into pit road. No one taking chances whatsoever, so your top 7 have entered pit road. We're going to wait to see who comes out where. It has been at least 20 laps, so this may be a race that would require one more stop. We have to find out, but Joshua Buckley is going to be the first driver off of pit road with a 9-second pit stop. Terrio spins off. Oh my goodness. That was way too close for comfort. Oh, and again, hold on to it, Terrio. Wrong way. There you go. Terrio possibly wait for Tim Blum there, but he had spun exiting pit road, and that's going to give him a massive setback. Not sure what happened there. Not sure if he tried to stop the 39 and Phillips from getting out in front of him, or if he just powered off pit road too hard. And he powered off pit road way too hard. He was on the throttle. And yeah, there it goes for a second time, Phillips. They've gotten a piece of that. So Max Terrio just went from about, well, he's actually still in the same position, but he doesn't have any help in the form of Tim Blum. Well, he might. Tim Blum seems to be laying back. Directly behind them are James Skelton and Brendan Minto. So those drivers could be working together, but now that we've calmed down for a few moments, with unfortunately the top 5 of your drivers all combined, which is, again, Talladega is just a crapshoot in general. We'll be heading double wide here, and you won't miss a single thing here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. This is the Red Light Scrambler series here at Talladega. Playoff round number 1, race 1 of 2. Your bottom 2 drivers in the point standings will be eliminated. Currently, that is William Long, and I believe it could be DJ Anderson. We're going to wait for the ticker to cycle through here before we confirm anything. But William Long, unfortunately, is for sure in line for elimination. And it is also going to be DJ Anderson, who is still on the racetrack, just trying to finish this race as much as possible. He's going to need a miracle, and so will we. Don't go anywhere. We're going double wide here at Talladega. back here at Talladega with just your top 4 unfortunately remaining here, as Talladega being the crapshoot that it is. Well, this happened. So we had only one caution essentially in this entire race, and the first one was the big one. I believe 20 laps in. I'm going to double check that really quick before I say anything else. Let's see. Looks like... Sorry, 13 laps in, I believe. 12 laps in. So 12 laps in, it seems, was the only caution that we had, and that was pretty much the big one as well. And now we have 4 drivers remaining after multiple drivers have damage. Welcome again to the crapshoot of Talladega. You didn't miss much. This is Talladega as per usual, and that's why, honestly, there's a little bit of stalling with the advertisements there on during the double wide portion of this broadcast, as there at the moment really is nothing to talk about. So going to continue on though for the next 20 laps to the end of this. We're going to see who finishes where. I mean, we already have your top 4, so William Long and DJ Anderson are pretty much officially out of this race. And by, well, not out of the race. William Long, for sure, he's out of the race, but out of the playoffs, that's going to be the question here. Is that, remember, the top 12, sorry, the top 10 advance to round number 2. And round number 2 concludes after Richmond. The thing is, though, the problem is, for William Long and DJ Anderson, they're the last 2 of the playoff drivers here at this race. William Long is already out, so he's going to need pretty much a win next week to really secure that spot. Slight problem, however, though, is that, again, it's going to be, as well as Richmond, so thankfully shorter cautions and less of a crapshoot. I should explain why it looks like some of these drivers have actually taken this week off. I am not surprised. I would have as well. So William Long and DJ Anderson are going to need a strong finish next week to keep themselves out of the of being eliminated. And speaking of DJ Anderson, he's about to get lapped here by your leader Joshua Buckley. So next week, those 2 names will be labeled in red as they are expected for elimination, essentially. After the actual race, though, it's going to be the same pattern. The same drivers that are pretty much in will be labeled in green in the first round, and then the drivers that are in line of, or that look to be, the drivers that are expected for elimination, if I could properly speak, that would be wonderful. But the drivers that are expected to be eliminated the next week will be labeled in red. So the last 2 drivers, basically, say the bottom 2 drivers here in the top 12, William Long and DJ Anderson, they're labeled in green for this week. Next week, their names will be labeled in red, indicating that they are the last 2 drivers. Will that be a thing in real time is possible, but it's not a for sure thing at the moment. So instead of looking at your top 4, let's look at the rest of the field, which isn't much, unfortunately, because, I mean, it's Talladega. So we do have Tim Blum, Max Terrio, James Skelton, and Brendan Minto in this small pack. The 01 of Richard Murdoch, and the 184 of Kevin O'Brien. Oh man, Kevin O'Brien. Not the best luck, but not the worst either, but he may be the second to last driver. I'm not sure. It may be Sean Butler as well. He's on the racetrack, but it's just going to depend. We'll find out by the end of this race. Christopher Rothrock is 33 laps down, and he is still running this race. He's the only rookie in this race, well, remaining in this race, and I may have spoken too soon. He's going to head back to pit road. 60 miles an hour, I believe. So I'm not sure if he's going to park it and just accept that finishing position, or if he's going to continue running and at least get ahead of the drivers that are officially out of this race. But until then, I'm keeping an eye on your top 4. This may become a little bit of a top 8 race, however. Not 100% sure yet, but looks like that is possible because Tim Blum is definitely closing the gap to Brian Phillips. We wouldn't even need the gap comparison to see how visibly close Tim Blum is getting. Just through the corner, he catches up off the back straightaway, and through the outside he goes. And looks like Max Cherio is going to be joining him, so now we have a little bit of a battle on our hands in these final 15 laps. 15 and a half laps, actually. Look at that. Phillips moves up to the top side. Says, you know what, you guys got the top side, the outside run. We're going to take it over, and Tim Blum is back into the lead here this week, or in this race. He's finished second multiple times, I believe twice actually, but he's finished second or under first just from bad luck or just finishing second to Sean Butler quite literally twice. So he may have a chance to really seal the deal here. But whatever playoff driver wins this race, they are locked into round number 2. And everyone else is definitely going to have an interesting race on their hands. Max Cherio pushing the back bumper of Tim Blum down the back straightaway. Skelton falling back on the very top side. Sorry, that is Brian Phillips who has fallen back on the very top side. He may be purposely losing the draft. Not sure if it's the best move, but no, pit road actually. Some of these drivers can only make 20 laps, and it's only James Skelton in the 86. Well, that may be it for James Skelton, unfortunately. It seems to be, though, about 20 to 25 laps that most of these trucks can last for. So, as I've said earlier, we may be seeing another pit stop occur. So right now, everyone's just keeping an eye on the leaders, seeing when they'll hit the pit road, and there's our answer. And it will be everybody. The entire top 6 goes to pit road. Watch the speed on the entry, however. Looks like no one locks up their tires. It may be just a gas and go for a majority of these drivers. The closest driver to them is James Skelton, all the way on the back straightaway, though, with no help behind him. So Tim Blum into his pit box. Minto also stops in his pit stall. Looks like more than actually Kyle Souza's down in the way. Tim Blum down in the way. Kyle Souza could be out in the lead. 3 wide on the pit exit, though. Leading that lap that time around was Kyle Souza. Look at this, James Skelton has caught up to the back of the field, although, now that's Kevin O'Brien actually. I was about to say, someone went up onto the track too soon, and the 01 and the 98 on the back straightaway, they are not on the lead lap. Once again, the 01 and the 98, Richard Murdoch and Ryan O'Donnell, they're not in the lead lap, they're just tandeming to the end of this race. But they are being very aware of Tim Blum and his status as a lead lap driver. They did not move to the inside. Now they do. We could have now was just a 3-car race on our hands as Joshua Buckley and Tim Blum are separated by... There's only that's 0.2 seconds. I'm looking at the wrong statistic there. Sorry. They are separated by 4 seconds in between each other. So this could be just a 3-car race for the lead, 2 of which now in the top 3 have not won any races whatsoever. And that is Kyle Souza in first, Tim Blum in third. Max Cherio has won only 2 races this season. First race of the season at Charlotte and last week as well. Before we headed into this race, which was at Kansas. Actually incorrect. That was Kentucky, not Kansas. For some reason I get those names mixed up. So apologies for that. Right now, everyone's just staying single file for the time being. I mean, they could race it 3 wide constantly, but I mean, the gap between Tim Blum and Buckley is extending, and for Buckley, that's not exactly what you want. You don't want to see that gap getting even larger and larger when you have 3 trucks in front of you versus, where is he? Oh goodness, 4 trucks. Well, yeah, no, that kind of makes sense if they're side by side, but if they work together single file, and I mean everybody working together single file, then they should be good to go. But right now it's just a 5.5 second gap, and that is going to be extending as well, unfortunately. Now my question is, how long is Max Terrio going to be riding behind the number 4 of Kyle Souza? Will Tim Blum actually even push Max Terrio to the win here at Talladega? Will he push Kyle Souza? Will he go for himself? I mean, if you have 3 cars left, well, not left, but if you have 3 trucks in the top 3 separated by a large gap, I would expect it would be at least 3 wide. I mean, the entire top 3 in this race, in this field here, Souza, Terrio, and Blum, they all want to lock themselves in for the next round. But at what cost is the question. We're just slowly watching the gap between Buckley and Blum still continuously increase. At the start-finish line this time around, it will be 6.9 seconds, 6.916 seconds, 7 seconds even, hanging to turn number 1. Just remember that for a few moments, as we'll be seeing that gap just ever so slightly increase. More and more they go throughout this racetrack due to the momentum difference. Half a second on the back straightaway at this point. It's pretty much just 1 second per lap. I was actually looking at the gap to the leader earlier on, and it's only by about 0.2 seconds, however. And this is for sure about a second per lap that Joshua Buckley is losing. Look at Tim Blum. He's going to try and use the draft of the 7 of Leah Bordage to make a move on the outside, or at least stay with these top 2 drivers, these other top 2 runners of Souza and Terrio. But at the moment, they're not really... Now everyone's just riding single file. The laps are slowly winding down. We're getting into the territory of every man for himself. At this point, we could just ride on board with Tim Blum's, and I think we will. We'll just see what a lap around Talladega is like here from his gyro cam. Actually, just on the outside. And, well, again, here's just 1 lap at Talladega. It had sounded like there for a few moments that Tim Blum had let off the throttle. Well, he did, of course, but it sounded like he even hit the brake just a little bit. But look at who's tagged onto this now. It's technically a 4-car battle for the lead. Oh, Tim Blum's going to the outside way too early. Bordage will have to let him in. Now he's going to go with him. Tim Blum wants Leah Borge to push him to the lead. But is it too early, though, is the question. 6 laps to go off of turn 4. Bordage not going with the not going with the 10 of Souza. Again, name's confused somehow. He's not going with the 10 of Tim Blum. As Bordage is 1 lap down. Not going with the 10. Trying to leave that gap open for Blum to go into the inside. And yeah, it was a bit too early. So that may have been a little bit of a test run there for Blum to figure out if he can really get enough momentum on the outside plus some help. But again, I'm pretty sure, I do not doubt that Souza or Terrio would try and get the win for themselves. So we are at 4 laps to go at the start-finish line. And your final 2 drivers at this point in the points standings are both the 51 of DJ Anderson and the 12 of William Long. Heading into next week, they have a last-ditch effort to get a great and powerful finish at Richmond. Look at this. Terrio is going to go to the outside with Tim Blum, leaving the 4 of Souza out to dry. Terrio had changed his mind. He does not know where to go. Doesn't know if he wants to go with the 10 of Blum or the 4, but it looks like Bordage will be choosing for him. 3 laps to go at the start-finish line. 3 drivers remain. The 7 is not on the lead lap. You usually see the lap car pushing the lead lap car on the outside. Well, this time is now on the inside lane, and this could give a massive advantage to Kyle Souza. Terrio following up that outside lane move by Tim Blum that could have costed him this race. We will find out in just 2 laps time at the start-finish line. Still remaining side by side. Still remaining off the back bumper for the most part is going to be Terrio as we ride on board with him. This could be the moment that defines the race right here. We'll find out. Bordage trying to help out Kyle Souza. Bordage not on the lead lap. The 10 and the 42, however, are on the lead lap. Tim Blum, will he finish second again to somebody else? He's finished second before to Sean Butler, but I don't think he wants to finish second to Kyle Souza, not after coming so close multiple times. White flag this time by Talladega. 64 laps have been completed. Working lap number 65, the outside has the advantage. That is Tim Blum trying to get into the lead. I don't know if Max Terrio will really make a move to the outside, but Tim Blum, think about this, has been sitting in second for so long in this race. Down the back straightaway they go. The 4 of Souza, the 10 of Tim Blum, the 42 of Max Terrio, all on the lead lap with a little bit of help from the 7 of Leo Bordage, who is 1 lap down in 8th place. Off turn number 4, drag race coming to the start-finish line. Advantage could be going to Kyle Souza and the number 4. Gang push, turned around, is going to go the 10, the 7, the 42. Who will be first at the start-finish line? So the 42 spinning. And Tim Blum finishes second. Wait, hold on a second. No, Tim Blum finishes second again. Coming to the start-finish line, Kyle Souza, can he make it before James Skelton or Joshua Buckley get there? Just barely in 3rd place is Kyle Souza with a dead engine at the start-finish line. The caution not out, but the race is over. Max Terrio, his third race win of the season, coming to a wild finish here at Talladega. Congratulations to Max Terrio. I'll take another look at this once again, as the race is pretty much over at this point. It all broke down entering the tri-oval. What happened was the 4 went up, the 7 went up to follow a bit too much, tagged the 10. That spun the 4 of Kyle Souza around. The 42 shoots through the middle, gets barely tagged by the 7, who also spins, but the 42 flips over onto his side and somehow, some way, manages to win at Talladega. Tim Blum finishes second again, and Kyle Souza, with a dead engine, finishes in third place. I don't believe Max Terrio's engine actually is not done for. I thought it was. Well, your finishing order here from this race is going to be Max Terrio finishing first, Tim Blum second again for the third time notably this season. Kyle Souza third. We'll get an interview with them in a few moments. James Skelton finishes fourth, fifth place. Joshua Buckley, Brian Phillips, Brendan Minto, Leo Bordage, Richard Murdoch, and Kevin O'Brien round out your top 10. And rounding out the rest of your field is going to be the 11 of Ryan O'Donnell in 11, Sean Butler 12, DJ Anderson. It's going to be a notable name here in a few moments. Christopher Rothrock, Patrick Orr, James Heater, and William Long finish in the final 11th through 17th place positions. DJ Anderson and William Long are now in line for elimination for next week. We will not be going to a commercial break, just a little bit of a logo placement here, as we will be getting an interview with your top 3. Kyle Souza, I would not be surprised if he was just a bit mad. I'm not seeing him available right now, so that may be proving my point. Unless he's just coincidentally unavailable, but aside from that, though, just essentially was a shock finish. Max Terrio, Tim Blum, Kyle Souza, your top 3. We're getting an interview with your second place finisher in just a few moments' time. And just a quick moment as we will get things set up here. A reset, I should say, as Tim Blum, we are here with Tim Blum, as for some reason that is playing, not sure why. There we go. Tim Blum finishing in second place for probably notably the third time in this season. So close yet so far once again, but Tim Blum, at least he managed to survive within the first 12 drivers, first 10 I should say, in this point of the final few finishers. That was a well, as everyone had said, Talladega being a crapshoot, they were not wrong, because it definitely was a crapshoot with that early big one.
Yeah, it was a wild race. I was in second when that big one happened, and I was wondering who would even be left, and it wasn't many. So it was an interesting race, and it got pretty interesting there at the end.
Yeah, it got interesting for sure, especially with help from Max Terrio. I honestly thought it was going to be a 3-car finish at first, but then the 7 abortage came into effect and made it sort of a 4-car finish, so pretty close to the usual style of Talladega finishes. But heading into Richmond next week, I mean, you're, in a sense, you're locked in, but at the same time, you're also not locked in, but you have a very incredibly safe buffer here for the next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling comfortable about. You still got to have a really good run at Richmond, and hope that you don't have connection issues or getting caught up in a wreck and lose all those points.
Hopefully that will not be the case for next week for some drivers. So before we go ahead and let you go, is there anyone that you have to give a shout out to or thank for your second place finish this week?
Yeah, shout out to Kyle and Leo, Max. Congrats, Max. That was fun there at the end. I was speeding down pit road on that second pit stop there, so I didn't think I had a shot. So it's good to be contending at the end. And thanks to my wife. I think she's watching tonight.
Congratulations again on your second place finish. We're going to go ahead and let you go.
Thanks. We'll see you next week.
So that was Tim Blum. I was incredibly wrong. I thought Kyle Souza was not here because I was looking for the car numbers first. But turns out Kyle Souza is here, and, well, you didn't get the win. But on the bright side, though, you did manage to at least survive to the end of the race, at least within the top three, as well as the fact that I believe you made it through the big one earlier on as well. So there is that. Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, no, you did finish third. I thought you finished first for a second, but uh, you had a dead engine coming through the tri-oval exit. You had just barely gotten that third place finish, so I'm pretty sure that was a very major relief for you.
Yep, Gary, it was a great race. We have a lot of great guys here in this league. I saw them getting shifty there towards the beginning of that run, and I lifted, and then people ended up getting turned over and stuff. So I wanted to finish the race, and I got that completed, I guess.
Yeah, it does work out, especially since you, yeah, technically you did. So there is that. There's that small relief that you do have there just at the end of the race after starting second to last as well, I believe. So that is even more impressive in its own right. So before we let you go, I mean, you do have essentially a pretty safe buffer heading into next week at Richmond. So any thoughts for that race next week?
Well, sadly, I was thinking that myself too, but sadly, I will not be racing next week.
Uh,
Going out to see the WWE Monday Night Raw.
ooh.
So, that's why I was racing so hard there towards the end to try to get the win here and lock myself into the next round. But we're gonna have to pack up and hope maybe some people next week won't show up either, and try to just get through it. And I want to put out a big thanks though to Leo. He was pushing me real hard there, and if I would have won the race, it would have been thanks to him for sure.
Yeah, it already beaten me to my next question, which is who do you like to give a shout out to? So there, yeah, there is Leo, of course. Also, good move on the going to wrestling as well. Great show. But aside from that, though, anyone else that you had to mention for a shout out aside from Leo Bordage?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Bay State Sewage and also Somerset Auto Service. They're really helpful, and they help in real life too. So always nice to have them on the iRacing car as well.
We're gonna go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on your third place finish, and we hope to see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you, Gary.
So that was Kyle Souza, and finally, for the third time, and possibly, I'm assuming, I sort of hope not, but I also hope so at the same time, starting his little bit of a winning streak, third race win total, second week in a row for Max Terrio. So we talked to you last weekend. Well, you're pretty much locked in already at this point. So I would ask you about Richmond, but that's technically unimportant since you're already locked in. You have a massive buffer by, being locked in. So heading into Vegas, I guess, in this case, any thoughts that you have, as well as any thoughts for this race as well?
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy race. I think I was involved in too many wrecks that damaged my car enough that I don't think I could have pulled out in front. So yeah, I never thought also I'd go to the inferior care center before Victory Lane. So that was the first.
Yeah, I definitely took a pretty wild ride there for sure. It was oh, what's the word that I could be looking for? I guess hectic, unexpected, maybe. Yeah, no, definitely unexpected. But on the bright side, though, I mean, I believe you actually got through the big one as well earlier on in the race. But I mean, either way, you did manage to, in a way, wreck and still finish in first. So that was I mean, it's been mentioned before. Talladega's a crapshoot, and well, it definitely showed here for this week. So heading into I guess next week if you do plan to race, which I assume you do. Any thoughts for Richmond?
Yeah, Richmond's kind of a hit or miss place for me. So I hope that I can find speed consistently and something that I can use for any future seasons that we run there. I think we might run in the daytime, which makes it a bit different compared to nighttime, which we usually do. So, but a lot of drivers are gonna race for these playoff spots next week. I don't think a lot of them will give enough room towards the end of the race.
And it's definitely going to be an interesting week for sure next week. So before we go ahead and let you go sort of recover in a sense, and as well as celebrate your race win, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for that here this week?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend and my friend Max at Max and Knitting watching the race. And as always, every week, the guys setting up the races and making this league possible, Josh, James, and Richard, do an awesome job. It's always fun racing every week with these guys, this group of guys.
We're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on your second race win in a row.
All right, see you next week.
So that is Max Terrio with your race win here for this week. Before we sign off, we're going to go once again over your upcoming races for this league. Next week is the second playoff round of the second race of this round. And while William Long and DJ Anderson are in huge danger of not being in the best of places for next week. So they head to Richmond for that race, as well as this Thursday it will be the Fuel Jetstream Media IndyCar Series. They head to Circuit of the Americas for 34 laps, and then this upcoming Sunday is going. Actually, I'm going to hold off on saying this upcoming Sunday and double check the schedule here for just a quick second. But I believe this upcoming Sunday, as it appears it will be this upcoming Sunday, it will be the Flat Out Racing League as they head to Rockingham Speedway. Something interesting that I saw at Rockingham Speedway that they may be getting refurbished, I believe, or at least something along those lines. So Rockingham Speedway may be coming back to NASCAR in person, in real life, probably by, I'm guessing, next year, maybe even 2021. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. But until then, we're going to sign off here from Talladega. I have been Gary Weaver, and thanks once again for watching. We hope to see you next time. Congratulations to Max Terrio. Good night from Talladega.